Midwest Speedfest 2019 Runner Spotlight. I'm here with MoonBlazeWolf and Simbu, who will be running Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Randomizer. And the category for that is League Flags Co-op. Is that correct?
Yep, that's we're planning on doing.
Okay. Do you want to tell me a little bit about Free Enterprise? I know it's a ROM hack of Final Fantasy IV, right? So it's not the vanilla game?
Yeah, so the main element, aside from kind of just like the general randomizer stuff, so we get things like the characters will be mixed up with where you would normally get them in the game. The treasures you would normally get will be shuffled around in different chests. Trap chests, which will actually be pretty interesting in our run, will be mixed up. So if you thought you knew where like those unsafe chests were in the vanilla game, they're going to be randomized in this one.
That's pretty fun.
And then the bosses as well. So those are kind of the main elements. There's also something called key items that I'm sure we'll talk about more during the run itself that kind of impact how you progress through the game. But basically all the stuff from the game is shuffled around. And then the free Enterprise part comes from the fact that you actually start the game with the Enterprise airship. So it gives you a lot of travel options and routing options right off the bat.
Okay, interesting. That's really cool. I know randomizers are kind of the hot thing these days, but it's really, really fun to see different randomizers. Now, you guys are playing this co-op, correct?
Yes, which means that we're both going to be playing the same seed, but we're going to be taking different routes through it, trying to find all of the items that we need to beat the game as quickly as possible. So if Blaze finds something that's really interesting, I will go and get it on my side. He finds a Porom, I'm probably going to let him keep the Porom and just keep on going.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. It'll be really interesting to see the different paths that you guys take, and that's really cool. I haven't actually seen any runs kind of like that before. So one thing, it's kind of going to be a little bit of like a divide and conquer sort of thing. If anybody saw Andy and I think it was Andy and Ivan did Z3R Super Metroid combo randomizer co-op at SGDQ. It's actually really similar to that. We're going to be playing through the same seed at the same time, but hopefully not overlapping too much unless it's like the required stuff. So we'll sort of be bouncing off of each other, doing different things, but obviously we'll be talking and sharing information the entire time as well. Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. So I mean, you'll get plenty of time to talk about the run during the run later on. And I just kind of want to sit here and talk to you guys a little bit about yourselves and, you know, how either of you got into speedrunning in the first place. So
So Simbu, do you want to start or do you want me to go ahead?
Sure, I can go first, but my story is pretty simple. I've not really done very much in terms of actual speedrun. Last summer, I was pretty bored, and I saw the Ocarina of Time randomizer start to come out, and I just couldn't get into all the glitches involved with it. But then I saw the Final Fantasy IV randomizer Free Enterprise and tried it out a few times, and then started running a few races and started to really enjoy it. So it's been just a little bit over a year since I started playing Free Enterprise, and that's pretty much my experience. I've gotten pretty good at it, but yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, and I'll just say for my part, I have a little bit more of a historical relationship with Final Fantasy IV as a game. It's one of the first RPGs I ever played growing up, back when it was released on the Super Nintendo, I think in 1991, so it's been a really long time. But I played that as a kid, and then for the randomizer, and honestly, kind of like the speedrunning part of that as well, my younger brother actually is involved with the particularly the RPG speedrunning community,
and he was out at RPG Limit Break
Oh wow.
I guess it would be about a year and a half ago now, when Free Enterprise was kind of making the rounds in the practice room, and he messaged me. He's like, "Oh man, you got to try this. This is really, really cool." So that was probably, I would say I got really heavily into it also about a year ago when the first league was happening. Simbu and I are both participating in the second league right now, by the way, which is where our flag set comes from.
Okay.
We'll maybe talk about that a little bit more later, just to sort of hype up where that is right now.
Yeah.
But you watch really good people play the game. You learn a lot from watching them. Simbu and I ourselves actually have been a team for almost a year now as well, probably about 10 months or so.
Okay.
The community actually started a co-op format, except it wasn't. It was only communication over Skype. I would never have been able to see Simbu's screen or anything like that. But it was kind of like a pilot league that they did with that last fall. It was called the Twin Invitational, and Simbu and I got paired up to be a part of that event, which was really cool. So I'm really, really grateful. I would say playing with Simbu has really been kind of like my springboard to get better at the game, and honestly just get better as a speedrunner overall, because I've picked up other games since then. I actually have a couple world records in some other games now as well, and I'm just really kind of embracing the kind of culture and the community of it all.
Yeah, awesome. So you both are kind of newer to the scene, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I've probably known about like Games Done Quick for 3 or 4 years now.
Okay.
But I actually wasn't a Twitch streamer until I got into Free Enterprise. I actually started streaming because it's a requirement to play the game competitively. Like I never really wanted to be a Twitch streamer. And actually I'm going to be mob actually very soon. So I'm sort of transitioning into that right now.
Okay.
So it's pretty interesting just how far it's taken me just in like a year or so. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I guess in that sort of sense, both of you being newer to speedrunning, but definitely not newer to gaming in general. MoonBlazeWolf, you talked about how Final Fantasy IV was one of the first games that you played back on the SNES. Simbu, do you sort of have a similar story with Final Fantasy IV, or what sort of games got you to where you are now?
Yeah, Final Fantasy IV, as I knew it, Final Fantasy II, since we had it on the SNES, was my first Final Fantasy game. I kind of grew up right as the 64 was popular. When I was at home, I was mostly playing 64 games. My favorite was Ocarina of Time. Can't really go wrong with that, but then my grandparents had the old Super Nintendo we had, and one of my uncles gave me Final Fantasy IV, and I started playing it, and really that was the only one I played all the way up until 10, so just to show the difference, like, I was playing that one and then jumped all the way to the PlayStation 2. It was a very big part of my childhood.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. I honestly myself haven't played any Final Fantasy games yet. I know I need to at some point. I guess I grew up more so playing. I grew up playing Chrono Trigger. That was the first JRPG that I got into.
You're okay then.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Both of you now. Is this going to be your first speedrunning event that you've been to at all for both of you?
I was at SGDQ, but I didn't have any runs in the event. I did volunteer at SGDQ, so I was there like part of the festivities, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely looking forward to more of that. Simbu and I have both done a couple online marathons playing FF4, but this will be our first in-person marathon speedrunning.
Excellent.
As Blaze mentioned, I haven't... Oh, go ahead.
No, go on.
I was just going to say I haven't been to any events in person. I've been hosted on a couple Randomania mega marathons and stuff like that, but nothing super particular.
Okay. Awesome. Well, it's going to be super awesome to have you both there. And MoonBlazeWolf, I was going to ask you before, what did you do for volunteering at SGDQ? Because I've done volunteering there the past couple years myself.
I was hard at work on the donation station, which was really cool. I was actually there, so I had 2 shifts. One was during opening ceremonies, which was just electric. It was so cool. And then my second shift was actually during one of the best runs of the marathon, in my opinion, which was Zallard One's blindfolded punch out.
Yes.
If anybody saw that.
Was crazy.
So like that was and it's one of the things too. I tried to like explain this to some people afterwards, but like you don't really get the full experience if you're just watching on Twitch, because that room was so deadly silent during each of his matches when he was blindfolded, because he had to hear all the audio cues and everything like that. But then the moment he dropped the other fighter, like it just erupted into applause. And you definitely don't get a sense for how loud that room gets when you're just like watching on Twitch, because I think a lot of the crowd noise kind of gets dampened out.
Yeah.
Man, being there in person, I was like getting chills up my spine. It was so cool.
Oh, it's always such a chills moment, some of those games. Especially like the first time that you go to a GDQ live. I remember my first one was SGDQ 2017, and I don't know, there's something about it being there live. It's just like, it makes it just like that much more real, I suppose, because you know I'd watched it on Twitch. I've watched the VODs on YouTube for a few years before that. But yeah, that punch out run was amazing. I think another moment at SGDQ was the Mario Maker, right? Mario Maker blind run, the team race.
Yeah, I heard about that, the relay.
Yeah.
That was cool. I was actually I timed to be my dinner break for the day, because right after that, I believe, I'm trying to remember the sequencing. I want to say that was on the final day. And if it was, that I was making a point to be there for the whole Chrono Trigger run that was the finale. So
yeah,
I had to kind of pace myself, but it was really cool from everything I heard. Yeah.
I think I was in the practice room when that race started, and I could hear the screams and the yelling from through a couple different walls into the practice room. It was crazy. So I had to stop what I was doing and go check out the stream. But yeah, that was awesome. Chrono Trigger was amazing, and the finale was just mind-blowing. Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be back next year for sure, if not at other events between now and then. So
definitely.
It was quite the experience.
Simbu, are you gonna try to make it to a GDQ at some point?
I don't know, maybe sometime in the future. I'm not one of the best with crowds, but we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to avoid the crowds, there's always the 3:00 in the morning runs to stick around for, and those are a lot of fun too. When there's nobody else in the stream room, it's a good time. But yeah,
we're just gonna have to make sure he has a good time at Midwest Speedfest. We'll kind of get him hooked.
Midwest Speedfest is always a good time. It's always an awesome crew of people that's hanging around. That should be a lot of fun. So we talked a little bit about you guys running free enterprise right now. Do you have any further ambitions with that game, or do you want, has this opened up new doors and like games that you want to speedrun further down the road?
Yeah, I think that, well, first of all, I just have to say, like, the free enterprise community itself is unbelievable. So just such a wonderful group of people. And I know everybody says that about their game a lot of the times, but honestly, like, I truly believe it's one of the best ones out there.
Awesome.
So, as long as they want to keep doing events, I'm going to be a part of them. And I've already made so many friends through that community that I know that even if it's not free enterprise, it'll be something else. But specifically to this game, I am actually hoping that the co-op really strikes a nerve, because I've noticed that co-op runs of randomizers they've actually been something that the larger marathons have been excited to accept recently. So this is actually the first time free enterprise co-op is going to be at a live event.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
I'm really hoping that if it does do well, maybe that's something that we can get accepted into the future, because the community's already had a four-way race, just a single-player race, accepted at both AGDQ earlier this year and RPG Limit Break earlier this year.
Okay.
So it's gotten a lot of popularity. But I also think it's important to show people a different side of things. And one of the things I really hope Simbu and I get to show off next weekend is just like how fun it is to play a game like this co-op. And it can be any kind of game, but it really brings that vibe of like, you're just hanging out with your buddies playing video games, and there's just something really cool about that, especially when you kind of see the from a pure like entertainment point of view, just like the skill, but also just like the social aspects of it and just how fun it is. So I'm really hoping that we can put on a good show in that regard next weekend.
Yeah, it should be an awesome time. And larger marathons too, I've seen a trend where more and more co-op games are being accepted. I mean, we saw Borderlands 2 all quests at SGDQ this year, which was an awesome run. If either of you hadn't seen that yet, I highly recommend it. It was an awesome time. But it'd be really cool to see more and more co-op runs get submitted, and to see more people running co-op eventually in the future. Simbu, do you have any other thoughts about games that you might be interested in speedrunning, or sticking with free enterprise for now and seeing where that goes?
So right now it's mostly been free enterprise for me. I've been taking a little bit of quality time to actually go through and casually play all of the other Final Fantasy games in the series, because it's kind of interesting to go back to those and not necessarily after spending all this time learning so many details about how to break one game specifically to the very minute details, and then going to these other games and then, look at all these things they've changed, and realizing how much you hated random encounters as a kid. That's really been getting to me a lot recently.
Yeah.
Me and Blaze actually entered into a Dragon Quest Warrior rando tournament.
Wow.
And that's very interesting, because in free enterprise we usually turn random encounters completely off, but in that tournament you very much every few steps could get into a random encounter, and it can be any enemy in the game, and they will just slaughter you mercilessly because they want to. So it's quite a different atmosphere.
I bet.
But I don't know. I played with some of the Zelda 3 A Link to the Past randomizers, so maybe one day looking into that. It's a lot to really dedicate yourself to a randomizer and play at a very top level, because the meta is changing constantly. The amount of game knowledge just to know a game well enough to, in any situation, I'm going to change one detail on you, and now you can't do this one little glitch. Like, it's not beneficial for you. You have to find a completely different route. It really changes the whole routing aspect tremendously.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things it reminds me of, I used to play professional Magic back in the day. And,
really?
And playing randomizer really reminds me a lot of like booster drafting, for example, because every time you open a pack of cards, you're going to get different stuff in there. And that's totally the same way with randomizer. Is you have to know how each of the individual components work, but they're going to be presented to you in a completely new combination every time you play. And I can guarantee you, when Simbu and I sit down and play the seed next weekend, it's going to be a combination of things that we've never seen before. So we're going to have to sort of be solving that puzzle on the fly, and there's something really cool about that.
You have to have that knowledge of like what every little thing does and how you can utilize, what you're given to your advantage to, get to where you need to get to and unlock what you need to unlock. I find randomizers super duper interesting. It's really cool to see more and more randomizers being run these days. I think they're awesome, and I cannot wait to watch the run next weekend. So we've talked about the run, we've talked about gaming in general, and Blaze, you mentioned that you were once a professional Magic player. Are there any other things that you guys do to eat up your time, and if so, what?
Well, I need to sort of clarify that. Just I was very briefly a professional Magic player. It was never something I was super good at, but I did play on the Pro Tour before. But anyway, yeah. So aside from that, I would say my biggest hobby is probably tennis.
Nice.
So I really enjoy that. I like getting out, and I have a dog, so I like to get out and walk the dog. You may or may not be able to tell, I have a ping pong table behind me as well here in my
see
office.
that.
So it's my ping pong dojo. So those are probably like my other big hobbies, I would say, aside from video games and speedrunning and things like that.
That's awesome. Tennis is fun. I suck at it, but I have a good time. I have a good time trying. Simbu, is there anything else you do in your free time other than Final Fantasy?
I mean, I like playing a lot of sports. I'm really into Ultimate Frisbee, and
Nice.
I like going skating quite a bit. Just a lot of the intramural sports. I'm a college student, actually, starting my 4th year of my PhD. So,
Oh wow.
I've not had the opportunity to branch out into a lot of working fields or anything, but I'm getting a lot of free time right now. So, especially over the summer, I've been pretty active both in online racing and also just in a lot of different sporting events, volleyball and stuff that I might not like as much, but then a lot of frisbee, just all over the place.
That's awesome. It's really that's one of the things I miss about being at college, is having that accessibility to a bunch of different activities to eat up your time. Makes life a lot more fun. That's for sure. Yeah, so in the meantime, there are a few viewers out there. If any viewers have any questions for these two, hit me. I already see that Count Gooby is wondering, why is pesto the besto?
I was told I was supposed to field this one. I do actually like to cook as well. I so just because it's so versatile. You can use it with so many different things. It goes on pizza, it goes on pasta, it goes on sandwiches. It's fantastic. So
It really is. I don't see why some people would hate on pesto. It's just it's the best. You can't beat it, especially with some like nice homemade pesto with like freshly picked basil leaves. So good. So awesome. Count Gooby is popping off for the pesto in the chat.
Hey, if we're still waiting on a couple of questions, can I mention our donation incentives that we have coming up for around as well? Because I think that'll... Cool. So the couple things, there's going to be 3 separate things that folks will be able to donate to during our run. The first is just character names. So there's 12 characters in the game. We can't promise we're going to find all of them, but we can promise they're all in there somewhere. So we'll have to see how that goes. But if you have a favorite, everybody has a favorite Final Fantasy IV character. If you want that character to have your name, it's a 6-character limit, but you can go ahead and donate for that. Those will all be bid wars. And those will actually go all the way up until the minute we start the run, because we actually pick the names at the beginning of the run.
Okay.
The other 2 that will be bid wars as well, but there are a couple of the randomized elements of the game. So I mentioned all like the mechanical stuff about the game earlier that's randomized, but a couple of things I didn't mention that are more for like fun and cosmetic things are there is a song that gets played by Edward on the twin harp during one of the cutscenes of the game. And that song is randomized in each different game. So there's a couple hundred songs that will randomly show up when you get to that cutscene.
We're narrowing it down to 2 of them. I don't remember off the top of my head exactly what the 2 options were, but it's not like the specific song. It's going to be like a franchise. So, like, for example, if one of the options was a Zelda song, it would be a song from the Zelda series.
Nice.
And they're all really cool if you haven't heard them. They're all really well done arrangements and things like that.
That's awesome.
And then the second option is the boss sprite at the end of the game. We call that the Z sprite. That is also randomized, and you're going to be able to do a bid war for which, again, franchise gets the final boss sprite. So again, if it was like Zelda, for example, it might be like a really cool Ganon sprite or something like that. We won't know specifically till we get to the final fight, but it'll be fun just to kind of see, you know, what the crowd is excited about, and then everybody gets to be surprised together when you see it. So
yeah,
those are our 3 bid wars: the character names,
sweet.
the harp song, and the boss sprite.
That's awesome. Those are awesome bid wars. That's really cool. Oh yeah, we have a couple questions in chat. Count Gooby again is asking you to convert him to the bandwagon and is asking, what is the best thing about randomizer?
Simbu, you want to take that one?
I mean, this is going to come down to opinion, but I really think the best part is you're able to play the same game over and over, but it feels like a new game every time you play it. I've literally played over 200 seeds of Free Enterprise, and every single time it's something different. You'll get a different starting character, and sometimes when you have 2 of the quote-unquote weakest characters in the game, like Tella, that completely changes everything, because now you have to fight all of these bosses with the weakest characters in the game and understand those characters particularly well.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, maybe you'll start out with the 2 strongest characters in the game, and be able to just flatten everything in a mere couple seconds. So it's just incredibly different every time you play, so it's nice and fresh, but it's still the same game. All the mechanics are the same, so it's kind of nice. You're not getting kind of stale on doing the same thing and having the same experience. It's that's my personal favorite part.
No, that, I mean, I get that same appeal from like the indie dungeon crawlers. You have like Enter the Gungeon or Binding of Isaac are the same way, where it's the same game but you're given different items every single time that you play through it. I mean, you could get Godhead right away at the beginning, or you could get like just the worst item in the game. It's what you make of that going forward. The skill involved in, you know, utilizing what you're given is really, really interesting and really fun. Another question: tennis or ping pong?
Oh man, you know, I really like ping pong. I feel like I'm so much better at ping pong than I am at tennis, and also like it's not nearly as hard. So I think that also plays into it. So I gotta go with ping pong. If there happens to be a ping pong table anywhere at 2DCon, I will bring my paddles and I will challenge anybody.
Yes, let's bring a ping pong table down there and set it up in the stream room, and just have ping pong going the whole time in the background. Gooby, what do you think about that? That should be a good time. One more question, and this has been asked at the previous spotlights so far. What is your personal dream for either of you? Let's start with Simbu. What is your personal dream? Keep that open-ended. Interpret it how you like.
Okay. I don't know. So a little bit more background on my college stuff. I'm actually working in computer engineering, so I do a lot of AI related stuff. So I really kind of find it interesting how first off, how I can make a machine learn how to do stuff, but how humans in turn learn how to do stuff. So I would say it would have to be somewhere along understanding that big concept of what is actually the how do you actually break down my ability to learn how to do something. To me, that's really interesting, and understanding that is one of the biggest things that I like to think about in my research and stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. That's intense. Cognition is not an easy topic to explore at all. That's sick. And Blaze, what is your personal dream?
I mean, in a lot of ways, I honestly just feel like really blessed and fortunate in my life, in sort of where I'm at with everything. I guess the one thing I feel like I've never quite pinned down is a career for myself. I've tried a lot of different things. I was a teacher for a long time. I worked in healthcare for a long time. I'm about to embark on maybe becoming a Twitch streamer part-time to full-time. So I don't know. Like, I just kind of hope that I can find something that I get to do every day and like wake up excited about and just feel really personally satisfied with. And I mean, I do feel like a lot of that satisfaction through the speedrunning that I've done this past year, just because so much of it gets tied to charity. And I love that aspect of just kind of like being a part of something bigger that brings so much joy to people.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I mean, I can't say I have any like big dreams or huge ambitions, but I just hope I get to continue doing the things that make me happy and make the world a better place, as cheesy as that sounds.
That's not cheesy at all. It's I get that 100%. So it's a big question. Sorry that we had to drop it on you, but it's sort of becoming a staple at this point.
I wasn't aware there were going to be any profound questions asked. I would have prepared myself a little bit better.
You always have to be ready for deep discussions on the Midwest Speedfest runner spotlights. That's what we're doing. Oh, excuse me. So yeah, that kind of covers everything that I wanted to ask about. Do either of you have any closing words? Anything you'd like to talk about that maybe we didn't cover yet so far?
I think just the one thing I do want to mention really quickly is we are in like literally smack dab in the middle of the FF4 Free Enterprise League right now, which is just a fantastic event.
Yeah.
It's we're wrapping up the preliminaries and we're about to advance to the knockout stages. I might have to play a play-in match during Midwest Speedfest, so I'm a little nervous about that, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
That's after tomorrow. I have a match tomorrow. But if anybody has any other questions about the randomizer or just wants to check out, what it actually looks like in the next week, check out ff4fe.com. That's the website. You can get on the Discord from there or download. You can get some seeds to play around with it yourself. Or if you want to check out some actual races, we stream almost all of our league races on either twitch.tv/free enterprise or the RPG Limit Break channel, twitch.tv/RPG Limit Break. So
yeah, awesome.
It's going on pretty much every night. You can check it out anytime you want.
I'm definitely going to have to check it out a couple of times before you guys show up for Fest. Simbu, do you have any?
You can all go and cheer for Blaze tomorrow at it's 8 o'clock, right, Blaze? Which channel is it on?
I think it's 6 Central. It's going to be a slugfest. It's 4 really good players, or 3 really good players and me, I should say. So we'll just kind of see how it goes. But it's just been fun. The community's done so many great events over the last year, but the league is really just kind of like the pinnacle in terms of just an exhibition of player skill, and getting all the best players together for a couple of months of really just amazing competition. So if anybody wants to check that out, you're going to be just mesmerized probably by all the crazy stuff that's going on. And all the runs are like commentated and things like that as well. So even if you're kind of new to it, people will help kind of lay the groundwork for like what people are doing. So
yeah, the Limit Break channel is always an awesome time. That's sweet. So you said 6 p.m. tomorrow?
Yeah,
that?
that sounds about right.
Okay.
I'll have to check. Tomorrow's also my last day at my job, so I'm a little bit nervous about that. So it's going to be quite an intense 24 hours for me tomorrow. But
no kidding.
I'm just going to make the best of it, and I'm going to be happy regardless of how things go tomorrow.
Yeah, of course. Best of luck to you with that, and best of luck to both of you for Midwest Speedfest. And again, your randomizer run will be at about 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time on Saturday the 24th. Look at that. You've got a prime time slot for Final Fantasy IV. It should be an awesome time. Again, joined by MoonBlazeWolf and Simbu. A couple things quick before we go. We do have a couple options for channels to raid after this, and we're leaving it up to you two to decide who gets the raid after we wrap it up. So we've got Love and Firestorm doing Link to the Past Multi-World, Dean Machine playing Wind Waker Randomizer, and Scarian is doing Mega Man the Power Fighters. What sounds good to either of you?
I'm going to put my vote for Wind Waker Randomizer. We've got to spread that rando love. So
yeah, okay.
That sounds... I haven't seen... I'll go check that out.
I'm okay with Wind Waker. I mean...
Wind Waker?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Awesome. All right, I think that's decided. I don't have that power to do the raid. To do the raid myself. That's up to Gooby. But yeah, thank you guys again for joining me with this runner spotlight. And again, good luck when the race comes around. I can't wait to see you guys this coming weekend, or next weekend, I suppose. I can't believe it's happening so quickly already.
Well, thanks for having us. We're really excited to show the game off, and we're going to have a lot of fun. I really hope people check it out. We're going to have some cool, we're going to have some good couch comments. We'll have a lot of excitement, hopefully befitting of that primetime slot that y'all gave us. So
yeah, of course. All right. So we'll end it there. Once again, Final Fantasy IV. Check it out. 7 p.m. Central Time on the Midwest Speedfest channel. Thank you guys again for joining me, and we'll head out.